So that's what I'm having. It's Cadu with I made these labels just by using the picture from the cookbook, and I said what the name of the cookbook was and who wrote it and stuff, and the ingredients. And then I made these so that I could give them to my loved ones, the jars of stuff, and they'd know where to find the recipe. And they'd know they have the right book when they get the picture right, you know. So, but I didn't end up bringing them to my family yet, and I've been dipping into them. So I will save this tag, and I'll just put it with another, and I'll erase Made July, and so I will use this tag again. It won't go wasted. But how I did this is I set up a table. I went to the public library, and you can do print out color things from the library. Right now, for 15 cents a page, you can do that. It's going up to 25 cents a page on the 27th, I think. So whatever projects, if you're a scrapbooker, whatever, go to your public library. Well, I don't know if they do color print jobs, but here in Lethbridge, ours does. So you can do color. So what I did is I set up a table, and I used just the Microsoft Office suite to help me make these little labels. And so I put the picture in each part of the table, and then I wrap text tight when I do the pictures, and that puts the pictures close together with the text. And if I want to do something else, so this I did in a table, and then so everyone was the same, and then I cut them on the jars. So and that was really inexpensive, because I was just writing on like actual sticky labels on the jars what they were, but this is actually nicer, and I was planning to glue it to the jar, but I didn't end up doing that, and this jar is too small for that label anyway. But yeah, I don't like the sticky labels that you buy, because I found, like, I have a dishwasher that I put the jars into, and then the labels come off in the dishwasher. It's frustrating. Those things are really only made for old-fashioned kind of people who can and then wash their dishes in the sink, and I don't do that, so it doesn't work out for me really well anyway. But anyway, so I just felt like doing that. I tried it out, and I like my label that I made here more. And if I were going to make my own recipes, then I'd just put whatever picture I created myself. So I've been doing collage work for the past month or something, maybe not that long. And I'll show you this one picture that I made. This is a very simple one that you can do just without very much cutting or anything at all. You just take each picture and then put the wrap text tight. So you copy and paste pictures and wrap text tight, and so you can put them tightly together. And then you cut some other images on top. You can crop them so that you get only what you need. And this gets me an idea. So this time of year is a great time to be planting a garden. So I've just put this lovely lady here to show off just to make it more artful, right? But this is basically, you can write out a plan, or you can take seed catalogs and cut your pictures out of the seed catalogs and then put them alongside of each other so that you know, oh, that's going to look good with that, or whatever. And then you can plan out according to height. So you put the tallest stuff in the back. So here's the corn is very tall, and the sunflowers, which I just put sunflower head pictures because I didn't need the leaves. You'd understand it'd be behind the corn. You wouldn't see much of the leaves, and they're not very attractive anyway. So the sunflowers would be in the back, the corn would be in the front, and then growing along the corn, you'd have morning glory flowers, and they'd be this color. And then in front of that, there's some calendula flowers. There's some yellow ones and some orange ones. And there's some squash growing in there. It's you can see the squash there. It's a kaboka squash that I put in this plan, but it could be whatever. And that's growing along the front, in front of the cornflowers here. And in front of that, and the cornflowers could be in the front. Their foliage is fine, so the light's going to go through. So you can put them, scatter them along wherever. And some burgundy bush beans in the front, because you want some nitrogen fixers in your plan. It's better because then you don't have to supplement with nitrogen, right? So these will help feed the other things. So burgundy bush beans and some nasturtiums right in the front, because the leaves are beautiful. So if you had this, you could put this garden plan into a peat bale row. This works in a peat bale row. And the sunflowers would actually be better just not in the peat bales, but behind, because they're pretty top heavy and it's hard to, you can kind of stake them or whatever, but they tend to want to fall over in the peat bales, I found. So they're better actually in the ground. But the corn does just fine in the peat bale. And the nasturtium, the leaves are beautiful. They look like lily pads, and they'll just fall right over the edge of the peat bale. So then you won't even see the bale. That'll go right to the ground. And it looks beautiful. And the squash will just grow away. So in my peat bales, they tend to want to grow in the alley. And so I'm having to keep convincing them, no, this isn't a good place to grow, and pulling them back. But you can just train them. And if you had a different kind of squash, you could train it up a trellis. So that could be more, you could place them. I plant them right at the back with the corn and stuff. They're going to grow wherever they want to anyway. But, and then, so if you had gourds or something, you could put them, they'd be growing up the trellis and stuff, along with these. You don't even need a trellis for the morning glories. They're going to grow up the corn and the sunflowers anyway. But, yeah. So, if you go to your local public library, it gives you a very good idea of what these, you have different kinds, like this is a different kind of ornamental corn that has purple leaves and husks and stuff and stems, and it's really quite beautiful. And I've given away a lot of those seeds, so I know I'm going to be planting some of this because I like this kind of corn. It's very attractive, and I'm going to be planting these. And so this is actually a plan that I'm going to be doing this year. And I've done it years in the past, and it's a really beautiful plan. It works out really well. So, but you may not, you may go, okay, well, I know this flower's blue and this, so these might look good together, and they might not. So just, you could work it out at your local public library for 15 cents for a page. That's all it's going to cost. It's going to cost some time to put the images in, and then you have fun, you know, cutting out whatever. That could be you. You could be cutting out a picture of you to put there, or your kids, or your grandkids, to go, this is what I'm growing for. Maybe you're growing for your grandchild, and so you put the picture of that there, and that's a little inspiration for your garden this time of year when you need it most, right? So, just an idea.
Hi.
Hi. I may as well. Thank you.
It's a bill. Thank you.
That's okay. They go automatically. So, put that there. The mail lady just came.
Yeah.
So, also showing, I got this from the Salvation Army Furniture Depot. You could be a millionaire and go there and get free dessert and bread. You're allowed one bread, one dessert, and 3 items. I've been taking.
Most of the people seem to drive there, so maybe they're not that poor. Yeah, probably walk.
Anyway, and I wanted to mention while gardening, because I have squash there, I tried to remember, and I did. So this here, you look at it and you go, is that a pumpkin? This was given to me. And James is going to eat his other half later, or he may not. But
I'll eat part of it.
This is not actually a pumpkin. It's a cross. And so somebody had planted their squash. This was given to me, and I'm very thankful for it because it's actually delicious. And I'm thankful anyway. But somebody had planted their pumpkins with their spaghetti squash. And different squash, they love to cross-pollinate. And so this might have been 2 years ago or something that they did this. Who knows? And all of a sudden, this last year, they got a bunch of squash that were not spaghetti squash, they were not pumpkins, and I'll show you some others later. And this is not necessarily a bad thing, because
tastes better than squash.
Tastes better than spaghetti squash. This is a wonderful, wonderful mistake of nature.
Yeah.
Because this is delicious.
It's a handleable size. It's not as big as many of the pumpkins. I think I've had this was the stuff that I ate right down to the shell, right?
Yeah. The pumpkin spaghetti squash, that is a beautiful hybrid.
Yep.
And it comes out kind of like, it's a little more like pumpkin, but it comes out fairly stringy.
Yeah.
Like a spaghetti squash.
No problem with that. If it gets a taste, it's awesome.
Yeah. It's delicious. Ooh, that's a spicy garou. So, James is going to talk about
John Lennon.
There we go.
The stories behind every song. No, not every song. Every song from his solo career. It says from 1970 to 1980. Some stuff was, of course, released posthumously. He died, December 8th, 1980. And I think they're still releasing some stuff. It's Yoko, basically. Yoko Ono. And they do have some of his solo songs from 1969. So even before the Beatles split up, he's releasing solo stuff or stuff under the moniker of, what was it, the Plastic Ono Band or stuff like that. So it's a fairly slim kind of volume, but his production in that 10 years or so, 11 years, was pretty slim as well. And not just in terms of quantity, but quality. To a certain extent, Paul McCartney and Lennon, when they split up, they showed that they, sometimes a team is much stronger than its component parts. And in this case, it was very much stronger. No, Lennon wasn't nearly as bad as he showed in his solo career. Very bad influence by the name of Yoko Ono. She was a very selfish kind of person, and domineered him literally, I guess, to death. But she had this stupid minimalist idea for art and stuff like that. So minimal that you could have happenings, and you didn't necessarily need something to be hung up on the wall. What was it she said about him once? He's so sentimental. Yeah, what the? Before he ran into her, he was anything but sentimental, generally. And so he just ended up doing stuff that was kind of like journalese, and it's like this guy used this quote. The Rolling Stones in '67, one of the weaker songs. They were talking about singing about a woman, as so often they were. But this would apply to much of John Lennon's fare in the '70s. Who needs yesterday's papers? Journalists. Leave that to the journalists. They are generally. I've been a journalist. They are not artists, not even close, and stuff like that. So and. Journalists really don't do much background stuff. It's just whatever's stuff is floating on top of the surf today is what they're concentrating on, and that's to a large extent what John Lennon was doing. So even before the Beatles split up, he's doing. I just couldn't believe how bad it was. Give peace a chance. Oh, we are saying is give peace a chance, and then he's rapping. Before rap really existed. Everybody's talking about blah, 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 blah. Everybody's talking about blah, 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 what the hey, I couldn't believe the fall off. The fall off was incredible. So when he's doing this minimal, what his strength was, one of his strengths was doing kind of like Jabberwocky type of stuff, or some people even compared it with James Joyce Finnegan's Wake might be a little bit overdone of a comparison, but like where he's doing stuff that almost seems like surreal stuff, or is just full of puns, like Dig a Pony, or I Am the Walrus, or Come Together, stuff like that. That was one of his strengths, like throwing a lot of stuff at you. And then when he's doing minimalist stuff, you're going, what? He's saying stuff like power to the people. In the 70s, oftentimes he's walking around with a button. And to a large extent, that's what his lyrics tended to be like in the 70s. They could be summarized on a button. It's the kind of garbage, hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today, or stuff like that. So the stuff people chant at demonstrations and things like that. And that sort of stuff's the death of art, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, Yoko, just a greedy junkie who was along for the ride, like used him as a vehicle. He'd pay for her self-indulgent exhibits and stuff like that. She's the kind of person that couldn't make it on her own. Her life depended on it. And I guess her life did. I think she's still alive, still living off of his legacy, right? Selling his stuff to advertisers. I think she sold Revolution to Nike, or some sort of runners maker. Like what do runners have to do with the revolution? Shameful. Even though he was calling down the revolution, really, and he was right. People who believe in revolution just believe in killing. I believe in evolution. I believe in going someplace, but doing it without cracking too many heads. Anyway, is this worth it? I wouldn't pay good money for it, but if you can get a second hand or get it from the library and you like John Lennon, it's kind of a good summary of how far he fell, really, if you know his Beatles stuff. Anyway, there we go.